And we're live! Hello and welcome to Hex Therapy Live. I'm your host, Maddie Allen. I am a retired therapist and multimillionaire from Hex. And I'm here to tell you a little bit today about a topic called delayed gratification. And it's a really important skill that people can get when they delay gratification. But we're going to talk about how the marshmallow test is misportrayed. Basically, it's there's a lot of misinformation out there about it, and so I'm gonna clear up the record by going back to the original publication today from 1970 from Walter Mischel. We're gonna understand what was actually used because there were no marshmallows involved in the original experiment, and so I think that that'll be interesting to explore today. Of course, Hex cryptocurrency is one of the best things you can do to delay gratification. It's it's far ahead of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So shout out to everybody in the live stream. We had 3,000 people tune in to the program last week, and today is going to be even better. So thanks so much for being here. I'm recording live from Austin, Texas. That's why I've got this glow around me. It's because I'm using a virtual green screen, and we're here for the US road tour. I can drop the link for that when we go cut to the intro. But I just want to shout out and say hey to everybody who's watching live, everybody who's watching on the replay. Thank you for being here. Hit the like and subscribe button, and get ready to delay some gratification here. Here's the intro.
It's from Maddie Allen of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Awesome. We're going to say hi to everybody here in the stream. Shout out to you, Jamie, King Tone, Hexican American, Hex Element, Hex Ninja Turtle, Craig, Crypto Gains Club, Lost Legacy. Good to see everybody here. Now, let's see. We've got the first story here, and this is from the American Psychological Association from 2014. They did a story on the psychologist who was in charge of this supposed marshmallow test. Now, the marshmallow test, or the Stanford marshmallow test, as it's known on Wikipedia, it was a study on delayed gratification. It says here it was in 1972, but again, the original study was published a couple years earlier. It was done in the 60s. It was led by psychologist Walter Mischel, a professor at Stanford University. And according to Wikipedia, and we're going to fact check all this today against the original article, and you're going to find, and I think see a little bit of a difference between what what the media and what the history books are showing versus what the reality is, what was actually published if we go back to the source. And that's going to help us to understand the world that we live in today, I think, and to navigate it better, because because they're reaching the wrong conclusions as well. So it's not just that they have the title wrong. It's not just that they have the experiment wrong. It's that the wrong conclusions are being reached. In reality, we don't need to go out and look for people who are already good at delaying gratification in order to make the next class of millionaires and billionaires in the world. It's not necessary to find people who are ready. You can actually cause people to be ready, to be more in control of their own lives, themselves. A lot of the problems in the world today, they can be fixed by psychology getting into the systems level of economics. And that's really what cryptocurrency Hex already does. It incentivizes people to delay gratification. Much better than somebody promising you something, and that's what we're going to see in the experiment. They were promises made to these children, and then it was assumed that if they did better at delaying gratification or waiting, then they would have more successful lives. And so it says here, in follow-up studies, the researchers found that children who were able to wait longer for the preferred rewards tended to have better life outcomes, as measured by SAT scores, educational attainment, body mass index, and other life measures. A replication attempt with a sample from a more diverse population, over 10 times larger than the original study, showed only half of the effect of the original study. It's the replication suggested the economic background rather than willpower explained the other half. Well, that's not how statistics work. And at the end of the day, it's important to understand that it is not people's traits that decide their behavior. It's false. People don't have static personalities that don't change. People's personalities change with their people, places, and things. And so it's very simple to see that people's behavior, it's based on their environment, their people, places, and things. That's what I'm calling environment in this case. And it's not based on whether they picked one marshmallow or two marshmallows, when they were 5 or when they were 3. That actually doesn't predict anything. And what we're measuring, in fact, a lot of people think that the marshmallow experiment was really measuring how much the kids trusted their parents. If sometimes it is better to take one marshmallow today instead of 2 tomorrow, if you have evidence that there's going to be 0 tomorrow, really, and that people are promising you things that aren't true. Hey, does that sound familiar? Does any of this sound familiar to the promise coin space, to the cryptocurrency field, where there are 80,000 shitcoins, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, that they need developers to still work on them in order for them to keep running, whereas Hex is a completed code base. And, so there are all these things, these similarities that I see between the Stanford marshmallow experiment and between what's going on in the world today with cryptocurrency, with people delaying gratification, having the freedom to become their best self. That does require the right environment. And when the monetary environment is punishing people for saving their money, and the Hex monetary environment is rewarding people for saving their money, paying your future self, like those are two different worlds that you can live in. And that's what I am most interested in studying as a crypto psychologist, that I would call myself today, is to understand, how does fixing the money fix the world? Or how does saying you're going to fix the money, how does that really corrupt people? And at the end of the day, we need accountability. We need to understand the results of scientific experiments. We need to be able to look at the same data and reach the same conclusions. I don't think it's very hard. That's why I'm excited to talk about this. But what we're going to take away from this is that the Stanford marshmallow experiment did not involve marshmallows. That's the first point I want to make here. Okay. And so we're going to trace this back. We went from Wikipedia, and now we're going to go to the APA, the American Psychological Association. And sure enough, the scientist who was in charge of this, Walter Mischel, I've seen some interviews with him and stuff. He wrote a whole book called The Marshmallow Test, because he got tired of explaining to people that they were really animal cookies that he was using, and they weren't marshmallows at all. And it was hard for me to even find a record of this. Like, Google does not know this information. The most important study on delayed gratification in the popular consciousness, and Google doesn't even know that it was not done with marshmallows. And so when you search anything about the marshmallow test, or you're going to come to this is like the top search result, this article, Acing the Marshmallow Test, and it's from 2014, and it's talking about Sesame Street's Cookie Monster. sent crumbs flying as he wolfed down any cookie within his reach. But then all of a sudden he was, talking to Walter Mischel about marshmallows. Again, the wrong conclusions are reached in all these cases, and we're gonna dig into that. So of course, I tried to get to the original article, and this was research conducted at Stanford, and so lots of tax dollars go to pay for Stanford and to pay for research in general, but they have paywalls up. So, that's another ridiculous thing that we have to live with in our ludicrous society today, is that the findings of publicly funded research is being held from us. Like, no wonder the world is screwed up. We're paying for all this research and then nobody can get the results of it because there are these paywalls in journals. That seems silly to me. And I already knew that that was the case. I used to be a researcher, studying brainwaves and tobacco cessation. So, but yeah, I ended up, this is a popular enough article or popular enough study that I was able to just track down the original PDF. Somebody uploaded it. This is the first study that Walter Mischel did on delayed gratification, and it was published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, LOL, in 1970. And the title of the article, for those who are just listening with auditory only, the title of the article is Attention in Delay of Gratification. I will read the abstract just for those who are interested in the topic in general, and then I'll point out the part about how they did not use marshmallows. So it says here, the role of attentional processes in voluntary delay of reward was explored by manipulating children's attention to the rewards for which they were waiting in a delay of gratification paradigm. Preschool children waited for a preferred but delayed reward while facing either the delayed reward, a less preferred but immediately available reward, both rewards, or no rewards. We could relate this to like emergency end stakers and people who end their stakes early and people who just hold liquid. No rewards. The dependent measure, so they didn't have like taken away something in that case, but anyway. The dependent measure was the amount of time they waited for the preferred outcome before forfeiting it for the sake of the less desired but immediately available one. Results contradicted predictions from psychodynamic theory and from speculations concerning self-instructions during quote unquote time binding. Unexpectedly, but in accordance with frustrative non-reward theory, voluntary waiting time was substantially increased when subjects could not attend to rewards during the waiting period. Implications are discussed for a theory of development of delay of gratification. Hex.com. No, but so yeah, so there was focus being put on if you distract yourself while you're waiting for a reward, maybe that's something that's helping, right? Because that's causing the duration of the waiting period to go up in these individuals, right? So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to go down here to the methods, and they did a super detailed methods section because that's part of how you can get something to duplicate, to be replicable. Shout out to everybody on the chat. So it says here, all right, the experimental room was a small private chamber containing a table on which lay 5 1/3 inch long pieces of pretzel and an opaque cake tin, a chair in front of the table, and on a second chair there was an empty cardboard box. Under the cake tin on the table were 5 2-inch long pretzels and 2 animal cookies. There you go, everybody. 2 animal cookies. So, where are the marshmallows there, you know? So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point or anything, but the bottom line is like, um, I mean, the bottom line is more than just whether they use marshmallows or not. And it's more than just like researchers are withholding their results and hiding behind paywalls. And it's bigger than so I think really the point I want to make has to do with this idea that some people are better at delaying gratification than others. And the question is like, why? And the answer is it's because they have something in their environment that's helping them to delay gratification and to play a better game, right? To trust in the future. When the marshmallow test has been tried to be replicated with different socioeconomic groups, it was revealed that the kids who don't have a good meal to go home to every night, those are the kids that would, of course, take the marshmallow today instead of 2 tomorrow. And that makes sense for them. And like that's adaptive. And so for us to judge that from our ivory tower or our position of like comfort is so silly. It's so silly that it's sad and painful like that science can't get this right because this is so important. And this is what Hex gets right because it incentivizes people to delay gratification and to time lock their money in exchange for a reward, which is APY. And you're getting your 10% APY a year if you're only staking for a year at a time, and you're getting your 36.9% APY when you're staking for 6 years. You're getting that every single year. You're getting that amount of interest. And so longer pays better. The longer you wait, the better it pays. And that's because it's valuable for you to wait to be able to sell a thing because that allows the price to go up more. And so that's what we're seeing in Hex is that it's crushing a test. It is in and of itself, Hex is an IQ test. And there are 2 functions for a test. One is to like measure how you are and pretend like that's not totally dependent on your environment. And the other way to do a test is to actually teach somebody something by asking them the right questions and to cause that person to learn something or to get more information or to develop a skill that translates into something important, right? And like so in Hex, we are waiting and maybe we are distracting ourselves and becoming better holders because we're watching these YouTube streams, because we're learning about what is the history of the science of delayed gratification. We're doing all these, we're learning about all these different things that can improve our lives, that can build community, that give us warm and fuzzy feelings inside when we see like, the US road tour going around the country, making a difference in people's lives, when we see people donating to charity, people, being financially free, being able to retire earlier and then put all of your time and energy into what matters most to you. That's a super valuable thing. And I wish that more people in society could experience that. And I'm not going to kid myself and think that like people are going to figure it out on their own. But Hex is the tool that allows people to send money to your future self. And that is such a powerful thing, whether you realize it or not, just doing it is critical. And for anybody in the world, from now until the future, is able to get APY. They're able to access a system that is rewarding to them, that's paying them to have a savings plan, that's paying them to change your savings behavior. And that's such a powerful thing, because your ability to save is not just based on you, it's also based on the monetary system that you're in. And so when the government officials are printing so much money, they're actually stealing from you, because they're making the dollars that you worked for less rare. And the more rare dollars are, the more stuff you can buy. And the less rare the dollars are, the less stuff you can buy. And so right now, savings is being punished. There was a famous psychological study that won the Nobel Prize in economics by Thaler, and it was totally wrong. I can tell you it's wrong, because they said people are bad at saving. People are not bad at saving if you consider the economic environment is where prices will go up over time because more dollars are being printed. So of course it makes sense to spend your money now. And so they thought that they were geniuses for realizing that people weren't saving their money anymore, but they got the reason wrong, and they thought that it was maladaptive, and they thought that saving is good no matter what. Well, guess what? Those are the same people who would be holding a rug pull coin down to the bottom, right? They're they're holding a coin to zero that is actually a scam, because they think saving is so good. No, it depends what you're saving, and it depends what the use case and product market fit is for that. And the dollar has done a great job in some ways, but in others it's been completely exploitative of people. And when people get exploited low key, subconsciously, when the price of everything goes up 3% a year, or 7% or 10% a year, and you get used to that, that's it's not a good existence for humans to be in. It's not the right environment. It makes people want to lie and cheat and steal and compete in ways that are dirty instead of ways that are fair, and to not be their best self, to be living for immediate gratification instead of delayed gratification. And that's how simple it is, really, is immediate gratification. If there's a comet headed towards Earth and all life is going to be extinct in 5 hours, then delaying gratification is not the move in that situation. It's not the move. And when politics is devolving everything into people care more about divisive issue. People are more divisive about their issues when their economics is not going well. People are more rude to each other. People are less empathic. People are having a scarcity mindset when the value of their savings goes down over time. It gets them pissed off. It causes them to elect extreme leaders that don't make things any better. And so the root of the problem in society, it's definitely all the money printing, but there's nobody there to blow the whistle anymore. And that's why Hex is such a truly innovative thing, is because instead of just saying that everybody sucks at saving, what Hex does is it fixes the problem. It gives people a mechanism to save, and anybody can get rewarded for creating a savings plan. And sure, it could go to zero. The dollar could go to zero. Anything could go to zero, and they do. That's what happens over time. So do you want something that is going to make you better at saving? It's going to reward you. You're going to be in an ecosystem with like-minded people. It is incredible that there are only 100,000 stickers in Hex, and Richard Hart is probably already in the top 50 billionaires in the world. That should tell everybody something. Besides from the fact that he's already a billionaire in Bitcoin and in Ethereum, and so he never has to sell his Hex coins. It's a completely different paradigm. It's a different monetary system. It's really incredible what is happening in the Hex community, what's happening with the psychology of it all. And so anyway, I think it's important for people to remember that the marshmallow test was wrong. It said basically that that based on whether you could delay gratification as a child, that would decide how well you would do in life. And really, all it is a reflection of the economic oppression that your parents have that determines the environment that you get to choose something bad or something worse than that. Those are the choices for most people, and they choose what's best for them. And then asshole economists come along and they try to pretend like everybody's bad at saving, when in reality, if you actually did the math, you would realize that saving is not the move in an environment where prices go up. And so it's so absurd that you can get the Nobel Prize for something that's wrong, and then you get gatekept when you invent hex. Like that is an artifact of the backward system that we're living in. But it's hopeful that so many people, that we do have 100,000 people who are on board, who are staked on average 6 years. That has never happened in history before. And if you're hearing this now, then you're early. You're super early. And you probably don't believe it because you have sudden wealth syndrome. If you've been watching this channel for a year or 2 years, then you know that it's already too good to believe. And uh, that's what Bitcoin did, is it kept turning people into fools left and right, because people couldn't believe how good Bitcoin was, and then they sold. They bought it at a penny and they sold it at $1 or $10 or $100, and that's how much Hex has been recently. It's been a penny a year ago. It's been up to 50 cents, but right now Hex is 15 or 20 or 25 cents, in that range, and that's incredible. That's something where it can still appreciate like Bitcoin did, from 20 cents all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars, and nobody would believe it because it doesn't seem right. But that's where the marshmallow, that's where the hex test comes into play. That's where the IQ test comes in, because there's still a long way to go. And the precedent has already been set by Bitcoin. And every shitcoin in the world, like, will tell you that, and they'll promise you the same thing, but they won't be talking about delayed gratification in the same way. They won't have it built into the contract. It won't be built into the code. The code won't be immutable. It won't be locked in a 2019 Ethereum block, unlike Bitcoin, unlike Ethereum code where it can't be changed, right? So what they're going to do, everybody who's in the crypto game, is they're going to flap their lips and pump their own bag and like act like they know what's best, that they're a genius, that they figured it out, and that's how they're going to get more people to buy their bags, basically. But a lot of hexicans, I know, they don't want to sell their bags. Uh, they want to, just keep living a modest lifestyle, and they want to be economically free and be able to invest time to help other people understand how powerful this is. Because even though the world is gatekept right now, people are still capable of listening to each other on an organic basis in real life, or in, in your day to day. It struck me today, I was thinking about it. Even if all the 100,000 people who are in Hex now, even if they only onboarded 3 people the rest of their lives, it doesn't have to happen right away. But if it happens ever, if you onboard people, that will have a network effect, because those 3 people will onboard 3 people, and they will onboard 3 people. And it doesn't take that many iterations to add up to a really huge number of people. And so if you do have a chance to share Hex with somebody who you care about, take your time, get it right, be patient, because that's the name of the game. Patience pays. That's what the marshmallow test, that's a big idea behind it. And somehow it got turned into a personality thing. Somehow it got turned into a predictive model of oh, whoever you were as a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old, that determined how you'd be as an adult. No. What determines how you are as an adult is your people, places, and things. And it's your what you listen to on YouTube, and it's who prints your dollars, right? Who prints your money? Is it a smart contract like Hex, or is it a greedy bunch of bankers and politicians and people who have sold out and keep selling out? The world, it's never been such a complicated place, and there have never been so many people on earth, and somehow so many things, they are going okay. People have, in the developed country, people have food and water, but things could run so much smoother if people had a reason to get along and had a reason to make a better future. Like, if your money keeps getting printed into nothingness, if money keeps getting printed ad infinitum, and that money is given to people who are corrupt instead of people who are more long-term thinking, that's going to create a culture of short-term thinking, and that's going to make everybody get along worse. It's going to make people hate themselves, and they're going to blame themselves. People are going to internalize first, or they're going to externalize. That means internalizing, you're blaming yourself for something you did wrong, even though it's more complicated than that. And even though um, people like to take personal responsibility, because then it means that they can do better next time. It's the change model of behavior. Whereas, like, the acceptance model of behavior, that's a different story, because people don't want to accept their mistakes, because then they would keep making them. As a society, we have to see past, like, just internalizing or externalizing things. When you externalize something, it means you blame everybody else. You blame your environment without taking any personal responsibility. What we need to do, I think, as people in a society, the best thing we can do with analyzing our own behavior is drawing a distinction between the past and the present, because you can't change your past. So that's the part you can accept. All your mistakes in the past, you were doing your best, even though your best wasn't good enough for that situation. You were still doing your best. When you remove the blame from the equation, it gives you a lot more energy to change the here and now. And that's the part where you've already done something impossible, which is accept something that you wanted to change. But now what you can do is you can separate the part that you accept, yourself and your past, and then now you can ask yourself, what skills do I need in order to do better next time? And so you're being future oriented, and you're asking yourself the right questions. So it's really important, when we look at giving people the right tools for the job of life, it's really important that you have um, therapy tools. And that's what this show is about, is like, what are some ways you can think through and talk through things with yourself? How can you become the best version of yourself possible? How can you have a healthier relationship with yourself? And the way we do that is by esteeming ourselves and by taking care of ourselves. So that's called self-esteem and self-care. Esteeming yourself, I like to talk about esteem, because people think it's something you have or you don't have. In fact, self-esteem, it's an action verb. It's something that you do. And so, how do you do self-esteem? You do it by uh, praising yourself, speaking highly of yourself, and complimenting yourself. And as crazy as it sounds, you could do it just as easily as you could say it to somebody else. You could say, um, I'm awesome, or I did a great job, or I'm proud of myself for this or that, right? Um, and that's a really powerful thing to be able to do, is to have the positive self-talk that you need to maintain self-esteem. Self-esteem is not an automatic thing. It's not something you just have. You might have people around you who are praising you all the time, and that's not the same thing. It makes a difference when you say it to yourself. And so when you set a reminder on your phone and you say, hey, Siri, remind me every day to compliment myself, and then Siri pops it up every day at the same time, that's a perfect way to remind yourself to do this exercise. And if you say one positive thing to yourself each day, I guarantee you it will improve your life. And uh, you know, that's not the only thing you can do. So there's a second part to this. So uh, speaking highly of yourself, praising yourself, that's a very valuable thing, and it'll help you in in a lot of cases. The way that you can make that even more powerful is to do what I call walking the walk and talking the talk at the same time. And when you talk the talk, you're praising yourself. When you walk the walk, that means you engage in self-care activities. So you can look online for like a big list of healthy activities or for self-care activities, and you'll find things like make yourself your favorite meal, play a song that you like, like go for a walk in the park. There are 100 things that you could find on that list, and maybe you're already doing them already, but maybe you're not recognizing to yourself, I'm taking care of myself because I care about myself because I matter, right? And so when you combine those things, when you walk the walk and talk the talk at the same time, that creates such a powerful effect on your subconscious. It can cause you to have a better belief about yourself. And that's the part of self-esteem that I think people normally think is like staying with them, is just that they have embarked on a routine. They've created a habit of speaking highly of themselves and taking care of themselves. And so when we look at other people, we externalize or internalize that and think to ourselves like, oh, that person has good self-esteem, when in fact they're actually doing certain behaviors that you can do too, and that we all need reminders to do. And so it's again, it's really important, whether you're a multimillionaire in Hex and trying to not be an asshole, and to not get pissed off by the world to the point where you don't even care about helping other people anymore. That's a thing. Sun well syndrome. It's a real bitch sometimes. But even if you're not looking for any investment, uh, at all, or even if you're still working your way up, buying your first T share, buying your first B share, that sort of thing, um, everybody can benefit from treating yourself better and having that reminder and doing that practice. And so you can even practice it now. You can give yourself a compliment, you can esteem yourself. Go ahead and give it a try now. That's funny. And you can look up a list of positive words, and that will give you the vocabulary that you need in order, because a lot of people have been programmed by what they watch on TV, by all the dangerous things that are supposedly happening in the world. And there's a lot of good things happening just in the fact that that we're alert and alive and we feel great, right? As Kareem would say. Happy birthday to Kareem, by the way. Um, Positive words list. Okay, so it says adaptable, adventurous, amazing, amiable, beautiful, becoming, beloved, durable, elegant, empowering, enchanting, endearing, energizing, enjoyable, gracious, gratifying, happening, harmonious, heavenly, honorable, ideal, fancy, fantastic, fashionable, faultless, fetching. I like that one. Fetching, flourishing, formidable, fulfilling, funny, generous, gifted, glamorous, gleaming, glowing, godly. Leave a comment, even if you're watching this on the replay. Leave a comment and give yourself a compliment. Choose one of these words that I'm saying, throw it out in the live chat, throw it out in the comment section. Give yourself a compliment today. Ideal, important, incredible, indispensable, indisputable, influential, inspiring, interesting, irresistible, joyful, jolly, jovial, kindly, kingly, leading, legendary, liberating, likable, lordy, blissful, brotherly, blessed, calming, captivating, charming, cherished, comforting, compelling, considerate, credible, dapper, darling, delicious, delightful, dependable, desirable, dreamy. There you go. So I hope this is helpful. I'm probably gonna cut this episode kind of short because I'm here. It's Kareem's birthday. I'm here in Austin, Texas, and hanging out with some really cool people, and really excited to get back to it. But I love doing my show every week, despite what I say sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. This is the 64th week that we've done Hex Therapy Live every Tuesday night at the same every Thursday night at the same time. And then Quan Gang is every Tuesday night at the same time. But anyway, thanks for being here with me. Shout out to everybody who's here in the live chat, who is watching. Hit the like and subscribe button. And, each week we will continue to look over what information could be most helpful for you to improve your mental health, to help you delay gratification. Today we learned that it was not marshmallows that were used in the original Stanford marshmallow experiment that supposedly is, the end all be all, that says that it's trait based, whether we delay gratification or not. And as you know, if you've ever sent money to your future self by time locking it in Hex, Hex can change you, and it can make you better at delaying gratification than you ever thought you could be. And that's how I feel, because I don't think I would have become a multimillionaire in Hex if I did not use the time lock function. And I think a lot of people can still stand to benefit from getting involved. And so definitely check it out. Hex.com has been updated. If you haven't seen it, that's something new since the last time we had a show on Thursday last week. So check out the new Hex.com. Get your ticket for Las Vegas. We're going to be in person. The largest Hex gathering of all time will be on March 6th through 9th at the Excalibur Conference Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can get your ticket at hexpo.vegas or hexconference.com. It's in the live stream. It's pinned. It's in the description below. Check it out, everybody. And again, practice eating less marshmallows and delaying gratification and practice time locking. And thanks for being here. So signing off for now. Stake wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Hey, Richard, Jerry Springer here. And I just heard from Maddie, and, I got to tell you, I see a lot of conflict and tribalism in the crypto space. The doorbell, I'll get it. Bitcoin, Ethereum brought you a third layer. Oh no, CZ is spamming Ethereum. Look, Richard, thank you for your YouTube show promoting mental health. The world desperately needs it, and trust me, I'm in a position to know. I happen to know, by the way, Richard, that you are a man of good character, and you might well say to me, well, how do I know you're of good character? I'll tell you how I know. I checked our records, and as I look at them here, let me see. Richard, you have never been on my show. And that, of course, is a sign of good character. You don't ever want to be on the show. Man, that would be awful. So good for you. Congratulations on your work. Keep it up. I hope 2021 turns out to be this wonderful year for you. And in the meantime, remember to take care of yourself and each other.
All right. For the thumbnail. Peace out, everybody.